What's up, everybody? This is Ryan Thomas from the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, your host, bringing you the newest edition of the Thomas Take, and I'm leaving off on an interview with Terry Cushman. I actually had him join me on the show in a pre-recorded edition of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I just got done asking Terry if there's one player that the Boston Red Sox could add via trade at this year's trade deadline. Who would it be? And here is Terry's answer and much, much more. You're listening to the Thomas Take.
Well, you can get really creative when you do that. I'd love to have Stanton, to be honest with you, but he has this gigantic contract. He's owed almost $300 million. I think it's $295 to be exact. And we're too close to the luxury tax threshold to be able to take on a contract like that. So what we would have to do is probably either get them to eat some of that money, whether it's 25% of the deal or a third of it or whatever. That could probably bring them in. Or you could say, well, in lieu of eating money, you have to take Hanley Ramirez from us. And that'll kind of offset the money. And what they could do is just turn around and flip Hanley to another team if somebody wants him. Mm-hmm. And that's one way to do it. Well, that's really a couple of ways to do it. So I don't know. I can't really find an easy solution without having those complicated obstacles. Mike Moustakas is the guy everybody wanted, but the Royals have caught fire, and I think they've won. I don't know if they had a day game today, but coming into today, they've won 7 in a row, and they're only a game and a half out of their own division, let alone the wild card. So you can't get him, and Pittsburgh is in a similar situation because they have Josh Harrison, who would be really good on the corners, and so it's a really complicated market right now, and the Red Sox have a really complicated payroll because we got so many big contracts as it is, and we're still paying for Pablo Sandoval even though he's not on our team, and that goes against our luxury tax. So we can't really exceed $195 million per year, or we're going to get penalized financially, and I think there's penalties as far as the next year's draft goes. Yeah, so you could be missing out on the next Mookie Betts.
You could, and along the way, that was great. Everything that you said was awesome, and I definitely agree. Stanton would be a great addition to the team. I've always been a Stanton guy. I really like Mike. I call him Mike still, but it's Giancarlo Stanton. Right. But anyway, one layer of what you said that just harkens back to what we were talking about is that they are paying Pablo Sandoval not to play on the Boston Red Sox. And it makes me think of the scene in Moneyball where Billy Beane, who's played by Brad Pitt, is saying to David Justice character, the David Justice character in the movie, the Yankees are paying you $7 million to not be on the New York Yankees. And that is in itself, even though that was in a movie, that was real, that really did happen. The Red Sox of old, the 04, the Epstein regime to, the Cherington regime, which was the end of the Epstein regime, obviously, this didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, this didn't happen where the Red Sox were paying players to play on other teams in huge sums of money. Are you concerned over the? I mean, it is concerning to me as a Red Sox fan that I'm seeing trends get repeated over and over again that are not Red Sox like. The Red Sox were not known for going out and buying free agents. They were known for building up their farm system. What is your take on that?
Well, part of this goes back to Ben Cherington because he was the one who signed Hanley and Pablo, and so and then the debate there is whether or not those were really Cherington moves or whether they were ownership moves, because it's kind of a pretty big theory that maybe Cherington didn't really have as much power as Theo did before him and as Dave Dombrowski did right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's tough to tell where to assign responsibility there. And Dombrowski essentially, inherited that. But he's no stranger himself. I mean, he signed Prince Fielder, who was absolutely terrible, but luckily found a way to ship him to Texas.
And that's something that we've seen from Dombrowski in previous stops throughout his career.
Yeah, and we could be seeing it right now with David Price too.
Mm-hmm.
And he can opt out next year, and I think 90% of Red Sox Nation is praying every night that happens. But yeah, and so it's tough. It's tough. It goes back to what you were kind of just alluding to, is you need balance. You need your kids to keep the payroll down, but you do need to supplement them with some big contracts, and it's just hard. And the other tough dynamic about Boston is we're really intense. We're a bunch of animals, and we'll rip people apart on social media and at the ballpark, and it's a tough place to play if you're not thick-skinned. So when you have a guy like Sandoval, part of his downfall was probably lack of effort, given his weight. But I don't think he had the personality to play here either.
Much like guys like, not to interrupt you, but the guy that comes to my mind is Carl Crawford.
Absolutely.
He was somebody that I thought would do really well, and then he just did not fit. Like, there's players that do fit and players that don't, and he just wasn't one of them.
Right. Absolutely. And I was so excited when we signed him. I don't think I've ever been so excited about a position player before. He was just so dynamic when he was with Tampa, and then he was kind of a bust with us, and then he kind of blew his elbow out as well. But he was a bust and didn't have the personality to play here either. And now we have Price, who spent the large part of his career in Tampa, and he's struggling as well. Because if you think about it, Florida's a big transplant state. How many people are originally from there?
Not many, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of nights, even though the Rays are the home team, they might be the away team.
That's true.
Because all the Red Sox, people from up here go there, and it seems like the Red Sox are the home team.
Well, there's just so much. There's so much. Really, the history of the team dictates itself. Like, everything that the team went through is what the city went through. Not winning a World Series for 86 years, that falls on the team, but it also falls on the city. And it's even though they beat the curse of the Bambino once, twice, 3 times over from 2004 to 2013. It's still not. There's still that dynamic of the Red Sox. For me, and for a lot of Red Sox fans and my family and Red Sox fans that I know, there's always that fear that, man, I really hope we don't go back to that, where there's a drought, or where there's one misstep in baseball can lead to so many missteps along the way, and that's what I'm kind of fearful of with Dave Dombrowski. There's the trade that they made with the Astros, where they traded Marwin Gonzalez. There's the move with Chris Sale, but really the one that really stuck out to me that was a trade was the Pomeranz trade. A trade that sent a prospect that they had very high hopes for, somebody that Pedro Martinez actually mentored through the organization, which I didn't even know that until he was, essentially casted off. What was your take? I believe his name was Espinoza. I don't want to botch his name, but
you're correct. It was Anderson Espinoza, and last I knew, he had a fairly significant injury, so he might be taking the year off, and he could still very well evolve into a bona fide stud, really. Or I think I just stole that from Carabas, but a bona fide ace, I should say. And at the time I was actually fine with it, because Pomeranz was having a good year, and Espinoza wasn't really close to the big league, so I was fine with it. But then it got dicey in the off season, or actually it might have. I can't remember when it happened. It was either very late in the season or the off season, where the medical records came up for Pomeranz, and
they were funky, to say the least.
Yeah. There was stuff that should have been in there that wasn't, and it was essentially covered up by the Padres guys, and that front office is really shady because they sent a player, I think, to Miami last year, and like a week or two later, he needs Tommy John.
Wow.
And it just, a lot of dicey stuff happens in San Diego. But going back to that trade, I liked it at the time, and I don't know that Pomeranz really helped a lot, but it just gave us peace of mind that we still had a top guy in the rotation, and he's been I would say at this point our second best pitcher.
Lately he has been good. It's just that it's just like I said earlier though, like I just never saw the Red Sox of old make moves like that, where they traded away a 18 or 19-year-old pitcher for a third or fourth starter that had a 4 ERA and, you know, on the Padres. You know what I mean? It just didn't really. It wasn't a Red Sox move, and I think Dave Dombrowski has made a lot of moves during his tenure with the Red Sox that are different, and I think that's showing, and it's crazy that we're talking about this and kind of bashing what they're doing, but at the same time, they should be better. And there's always that standard with the Red Sox that they should be great, not good. They should be one of the best, you know, 3 teams in baseball always. And it's the same for the Yankees. So that's one thing that we have in common with them, unfortunately. And,
and with Dombrowski, though, the thing I keep going back to is when he came in 2015, he had the second or third best farm system in the majors, and now it's extremely depleted, and we need one big bat in the worst possible way. And if you look at all we've traded away, and you combine it all together, we shouldn't be in this position. Like, we've traded away way too much talent to not be in the best possible position right now.
Trading away. Not to interrupt you. What were you saying?
Well, I was just going to end it by saying that's the real frustrating thing about the 2017 Red Sox is that we're not a complete team right now.
No, and trading away guys like Travis Shaw for a reliever. It just I'm not a fan, as a baseball fan and as a baseball fanatic, I should say. I'm not a fan of trading everyday players for guys that pitch, you know, ever so often. You know what I mean? It just, and Travis Shaw right now has played really well for the Brewers. The Brewers, I believe, are in first or second in the division. That was a player that if they didn't make that trade, they would still have Shaw, and they wouldn't have had to go out and get Nunez or call up Devers. It's like one move kind of was a chain reaction for 2 moves that ended up happening, and that's just stuff that didn't happen when they had Epstein. What would you
Travis
say?
Shaw came out of nowhere, though. You got to remember, like, he wasn't supposed to be a call up, and we, you know, no long-term plans. And when the trade did go down, I didn't really have strong feelings about it because we were getting a top reliever, but he hasn't played a single game, and you know, Shaw's been an absolute beast out there, and it kind of goes back to that's one of Farrell's shortcomings was he couldn't help develop him, and he kept benching him, and you know, Shaw just had a real short leash all last year, so he wasn't given enough time to get over that hump and be the guy he is in Milwaukee right now.
I agree. I agree 100%. And it's almost a combination of both. The GM kind of making moves too soon, and the manager in John Farrell mismanaging the talent while it's here. And those two things, to say that they're in first, I mean, you know, or have been in first, back and forth, first or second, it's quite remarkable.
That was part 3 of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. As I am joined, I should say, by Terry Cushman. I will be playing the next part of the Thomas Take as I'm joined by Terry Cushman of AvidBoston.com. Man, we were getting into the nitty-gritty of the Boston Red Sox. We're going to parlay that into some more baseball talk and some football talk. Stay tuned.